Welcome in this Tuesday edition, Oxford Exxon Podcast. Chase Parham, Neal, McCready here with you, Clark Ford Studio. Hope all of you had a safe and wonderful new year. We will catch you up on items since the last time we all talked. We'll obviously start out with the horrible situation in Cincinnati last night with Damar Hamlin, what we know there as of this morning at 8:15 a.m. and more. Ole Miss basketball plays tonight. 8 o'clock in Tuscaloosa. The Rebels 12.5-point underdogs to the Crimson Tide tonight. Ole Miss, a team Nate Oates called interesting during his press conference yesterday there in Tuscaloosa. So that and more coming up on today's show, a show brought to you every single day by the Oxford Exxon, going into our 10th year with the Oxford Exxon. Appreciate them as always. You can get lunch specials. You can get great things in the convenience store, the hot case, ribs, chicken. Let them take care of dinner. It's raining outside. It's going to be raining all day. Might be raining tomorrow a little bit. So make it easy tonight for you with the Oxford Exxon. If you're here local, blue sky locations up and down I-55 and throughout North Mississippi as well. And again, coming to you from the Clark Ford studio.
We are Clark Ford's in Amory, Mississippi. 662-257-1900 is the number. Call it. Ask for Corey Clark. Tell Corey what Ford product you're looking for. He'll send you a quote within 15 minutes in business hours. Right to the bottom line. No hassle, no haggle. You get your quote. The rest completely up to you. You can shop that quote around. You can do what I've done, what I recommend that you do. It's hop into a Clark Ford today. 662-257-1900.
So, get right into it. Damar Hamlin, the Bills safety out of Pitt, 24-year-old, made a tackle on the Bengals' T. Higgins last night. Stood back up, collapsed to the field, and maybe the scariest moment I've ever seen in a live sporting event, at least that you're watching in real time at that point. He had CPR was given to him on the field. He was taken to the University of Cincinnati Hospital, the only level 1 trauma center there in the local area in the Cincinnati area. And the last update we had was sometime in the middle of the night, at least that I have seen. Again, this is 8:17 a.m. Central Time as I'm talking right now. And it is that his vitals had returned to normal, that he did suffer cardiac arrest on the field. He's been sedated, intubated, and they were running more tests at that point. That's kind of what we know right now, at least as I know. Did I miss something, Neal? Is that kind of where we're at?
I think that's correct. I've followed a couple of different accounts that obviously are connected to him. I don't know that he's yet able to breathe on his own.
Okay.
So that's obviously the concern. Yeah, look, I was obviously watching live, like a lot of people. Probably the most anticipated NFL regular season game in
a long time. To be this late in the year, those two teams.
Certainly the most anticipated Monday night game in ages. It had been built up, and it was
outside of arguably the Chiefs, the two most interesting teams in the league.
Yeah, for sure. And then first time that Josh Allen and Joe Burrow had faced off in a game. You had all the AFC playoff ramifications. All of those things were there, and also it was coming right out of the Rose Bowl.
Yeah,
and the Rose Bowl was a blowout late, and so people who would have stayed for the end of the Rose Bowl had flipped over to ESPN too.
You didn't even get your sunset yesterday. It was raining.
It was cloudy. Yeah. What a shame. So you had a massive audience, and then the game gets off to the kind of start that I think we all anticipated. The Bengals march down the field and score. The Bills march down the field, stall, and have to kick a field goal. And the Bengals are marching again. And you're like, oh, this is going to be the shootout that we all anticipated. These two great young quarterbacks who will probably face off for the next 10 to 15 years. We're going to get this tonight. And I mean, I was like getting excited. Like, oh my God, this is going to be everything we thought it would be. And then you see that scene, and what I saw first was him just laying on the ground.
Right.
And the first thing you notice is the reaction of players. And I went, oh God. And then the first time they showed the replay, I mean, I'll be honest, what I said to my wife was, this day's been coming for a long time. And she's like, what are you talking about? I said, an NFL player just died on the field. That's what I thought. And I mean, kudos to the people the people at the stadium because they got to him fast. Have you seen? I don't know if you've seen the replays. ESPN kind of stopped showing the replay, and I went looking for it elsewhere on cable television, and I found it on a couple of the cable networks last night, about 9:00. CPR was being administered to him, man, within 1 minute.
Yeah, the couple things there. First, and thank God this did not happen, but the question has come up multiple times. The answer is that a player has passed away on a field one time in an NFL game. Chuck Hughes, 1971, a Lions wide receiver, with about a minute to go in the game, fell over with a heart issue right in front of Dick Butkus, actually, and died there. And they actually finished that game, but it was because it was about a minute left. But anyway, that is the one time that has happened on an NFL field. And yeah, you saw it on Twitter with a couple doctors last night. And again, you don't want it to happen anywhere. Don't misconstrue. But outside of in a hospital, an NFL field might be the best place to have a condition like that because of the amount of personnel and attention that is on that. That is, that is what he was in, the one place that saved his life to this point. I mean, if it's a high school game, a player is dead today.
Sure.
If it's a college game, they're potentially probably dead today. It's stark and tragic in a number of ways. But no, they got to him. They did every bit of immediate medical attention that could happen. They did a very quick job of getting his family out of the stands and there with him toward the ambulance to get him. Said it's about almost 2 miles, I think, to the UC hospital.
It is. I know exactly.
Like
I know exactly where it is. It's right at 2 miles from the stadium.
Yeah. And then proceeded from there again to have a level 1 trauma center closed for when that happened. We're speculating here. There's been no official diagnosis on exactly what happened, but judging by tons of doctors across different specialties through the internet and just what appears to be the word of mouth, the most expected thing is essentially a blunt force contact. There's a name for it that I don't have up in front of me right now. I sent it to Neal last night, so I can pull it up.
Komodo
cordis. Okay.
I mean, we're not doctors, obviously.
Yeah, we're having a podcast here, but the definition of that issue is a heart disruption of heart rhythm that occurs as a result of a blow to the area directly over the heart, the precordial region, at a critical time during the cycle of a heartbeat, meaning when the blood is pumping at whatever point, producing what is termed an ROT phenomenon that leads to the condition. It's a form of VFib, which is an arrhythmia for, well, we can understand that part of it at least as well. Has nothing to do with heart damage, has nothing to do with mechanical damage to the heart whatsoever. It is a freak accident that caused by a force to the heart area at the exact wrong time.
Typically, I mean, when I say typically, the numbers are overwhelmingly related to this happening in baseball. That's the sport that this happens the most in.
And lacrosse, actually. I saw last night that it's a big lacrosse injury.
Hardly ever happens in basketball. Hardly ever happens in soccer. Hardly ever happens in a lot of other sports. It's happened once to a kid when a dog jumped into a kid and hit a kid in the chest and caused. Yeah,
really.
Yep. But it's mostly baseball. Kids get hit in the chest with a baseball at the exact wrong time and
exact wrong place
and don't make it. I mean, it sounds like the ending here is going to be positive. That he's going to have a recovery, a full recovery. That it was, like you said, it was a freak thing. But man, it was that moment where all the conversation last night for hours about when did they make the decision not to play and all that stuff. To me, the decision to not play the game was made and I'm giving credit here because I think the league, in all of its the league is just, this was not a good night for the NFL because I think the NFL was going to play the game. I think they gave him a 5-minute warning, and I think Sean McDermott and Zach Taylor, the coaches of the Bills and Bengals respectively, and their players got together and said, no, we're not.
Okay, and I agree with you. Look, there's no doubt here. When you watch these situations, the main two leaders of this situation were Sean McDermott and Zach Taylor. There's no doubt about that.
Sure.
They both got together and went, no, hell no. We're out of here. Peace, whatever. Do what you need to do. I do wonder a little bit, and look, I'm not protecting the NFL. I don't give a shit. I wonder a little bit if somebody in the stadium made a decision and then the league office was going to go, no, quit that shit. Like, you know what I mean? Like somebody said, hey, 5 minutes because that's the protocol on site. You know what I mean? But
Yeah.
it probably would have never gotten to there anyway. That it was clear that wasn't going to happen. It was just sort of, hey, now that he's clear, you have 5 minutes. Like some sort of, you know what I mean? Like
Yeah, I
I
don't
wonder
know.
if there's something on site that did something.
I don't know.
Again, no clue, no idea.
If that were the case, somebody was tone deaf. Because if you were watching the reactions of the players, it's another thing. Also, this is where, and a lot of last night, and again, the focus is all about Damar Hamlin,
Sure.
and his health. But a lot of last night with it took hours for people to understand. Hey, did he have a pulse when you put him in the ambulance? Did he have a pulse? I mean, because the ambulance stayed at the stadium for almost a half hour.
That was the most concerned I was last night throughout the whole process, because that news is either really good or really bad. When an ambulance does not move immediately to the hospital, you go, oh shit. That's sort of where.
And look, someone says that the NFL VP of Ops said there was no discussion of a 5-minute warm up, but there was. The NFL can spin all they want. Joe Burrow's on the sideline starting to pick up a ball and throw it again.
Yeah.
Joe Burrow didn't want to throw a football last night. Joe Burrow picked up a football because he said someone told him, hey, we're going to start this game again.
Yeah, sure.
It's a code red. We've got really bad weather in Oxford.
Oh, really?
That's what it's a severe thunderstorm warning.
Oh, okay.
I mean, he didn't pick up the ball and start throwing it casually because, hey, I just feel like throwing a ball. Someone told the quarterback of the Cincinnati Bengals, hey, we're going to resume the game. We have the football. You might want to get loose.
Yeah. And I'm just curious whom, I guess, is my point.
I mean, somebody.
Yeah, sure.
Somebody wasn't guy up in section 207 who came down and told Burrow, hey, get loose, man.
Yeah.
It was somebody with some degree of authority said, hey, we're going to start this thing again. That's why I don't believe the NFL when they say, oh, that never was the discussion. Somebody discussed it.
Holden, our stream, says, had this happened in a lacrosse game I was in, fortunately a father in the stands with a cardiologist and the person lived due to fast action. Yeah, the scenes that you will take, him falling and then Josh Allen just dazed on the sideline. I mean, looked like he had no idea where he was for a few minutes. You've got both sides huddling and praying and crying, and no, there was no play. Anybody was playing a damn football game.
Of course not.
It was not even feasible to any degree.
At the end of Skip Bayless's career last night, did he go too far? Finally, if it's not, is ESPN finally admitting that that's all that show is? It's just?
And I think they've already admitted it.
Hot takes and clicks.
And I think they've already admitted it. I mean, he has no bearing on any true logical discussion at all. It's just say something that gets people inflamed to piss them off and make them interact. That's all he's there for.
But it's one thing when you
say a guy who used to be a pretty intelligent dude.
Well, he is intelligent.
Yeah, like somebody who used to be very.
But to me, there's a big difference between, hey, is Dak Prescott the answer for the Cowboys? Okay, I get that, right?
Whatever.
Dak Prescott can't come through in the clutch.
LeBron sucks. Okay,
yeah.
Great.
Anthony Davis is a choker. Okay. And talking about something in the aftermath of something where we literally saw someone's life being saved in front of us. Because he's not breathing there on the ground. I mean, he was lifeless on the ground. That reaction.
He's just buckled.
The reaction from those players, that was not. I mean, guys have seen guys get hurt. You've seen guys blow an ACL. You've seen guys break a leg badly. You've seen spinal cord scares. They know that stuff happens. You've seen guys get knocked out. All those things are scary. These guys know that's part of the game. But man, what they saw last night was not. I mean, you're telling me T. Higgins was going to go back out on the field and run routes? I mean, T. Higgins literally just wanted to get to his mother. I mean, not that he didn't do anything, but I mean, it was kind of that I'm sure he felt some degree of responsibility.
Well, I mean, we've seen that locally. Brad Gaines for years. I mean, that's you.
I mean, the fact that they kept talking about are they going to play or not? No, they're not.
Somebody has gotten on Bayless, who apparently is now with Fox, by the way, because his initial tweet was, quote, "No doubt the NFL is considering postponing the rest of the game, but how? This late in the season, a game of this magnitude is crucial to the regular season outcome, which suddenly seems so irrelevant." He deleted that tweet, came back with several tweets, but the one where he acknowledged the previous tweet. Nothing is more important than that young man's health. That was the point of my last tweet. I'm sorry if this was misunderstood, but his health is all that matters. Again, everything else is irrelevant. I prayed for him and will continue to. There, 11 hours ago from Skip Bayless.
Okay.
Yeah, I mean, anybody who's watching that trying to actually use a brain cell is already, I mean, come on.
Yeah. Well, obviously, I don't even know where he was anymore. I don't watch those kinds of shows. I just don't. I don't watch them. What you did see last night was I told Laura my wife, he's the best in the business, Scott Van Pelt. He was
great.
He's the very best.
He was great.
Ryan Clark was terrific, I thought.
He was.
They were both very, very good. Lisa Salters was very good on site. I thought Buck and Aikman did a really good job considering that's not what you're prepared for. You're prepared for a football game.
Everybody did their job the best they could. Booker McFarland did a wonderful job being a human last night, and I mean that in a very positive way.
Sure.
I mean that as far as that you could go into a shell and have a hard time articulating, and he was able to put words and thoughts to what he was feeling at the time. The other, I'm not sure who else was in the room, but
Susie Colbert and
Susie
Adam
Colbert. Colbert asked difficult but honest questions. I saw her getting flack on Twitter, but no, she did her job. She pushed the conversation forward in ways we're all thinking and wanting reactions to. There was nothing about that at all.
What she wanted to say was, "Why are we still doing this?"
Yes,
but
and Schefter, to his credit, kind of did at one point. Goes, "This is somebody who absolutely is tied into the league, and tries not to upset anybody in the league. I mean, he did a nice job with what was offered there for him, and then frankly, yeah, I mean, Buck and England, those guys." Buck and Aikman and those guys.
Yeah, for anybody, just in case we lose the stream, we're in a tornado warning at this point. We can hear the siren, so if the power goes out,
we're potentially being really stupid in real time. But here we are.
I mean,
is that what you're? I kind of had like this quick little like half-second thought, like, okay, what are we doing? Buck and Aikman did a really good job. I mean, it's something that you're not prepared for, and you've got to kill such amount of time not really knowing what's next or how long you've got to go, and just sort of talk and ramble and update and repeat and do things that is very fascinating from the standpoint of simply broadcasting and reporting and what your job is to do right there. I mean, it really, really is. Credit to them for that completely. So I don't know. Yeah. Podcast brought to you in part by Prime Shrimp, primeshrimp.com. 7 different flavors available for you, delivered straight to your door, including their most recent offering, their barbecue style shrimp, their New Orleans barbecue style shrimp. It is one of the best ones, along with the signature, the great all-purpose ones that go with a little bit of everything. They got the full meals in the bag with the French Quarter Alfredo, the garlic herb butter, and they also have the 2-pound bags of individually frozen shrimp just for you, like the grocery store, except a higher quality shrimp from primeshrimp.com.
Step into the new year in style. If you haven't made the move already, you really need to experience the difference a quality sock makes. Go to deadsoxy.com, enter the code Rebel Grove at checkout, get 25% off all orders, including sale items. As they continue to grow, they want to extend a special thank you for the continued support of the Rebel Grove community. The folks at Dead Soxy are constantly striving to improve their quality, relationships, and customer experiences. As an MPW Digital listener, you'll be the first to hear about all new products and opportunities as they come. Remember to enter the promo code Rebel Grove at checkout for 25% off all orders. And Happy New Year from Dad Soxy. Walk-On's Sports Bistro puts everything they've got into bringing you game day with the taste of Louisiana. Dig into their mouth-watering, made-from-scratch Louisiana cuisine, po' boys, gumbo, voodoo shrimp, plus fan favorites like juicy burgers, fresh salads, all in front of 70-plus TVs, 40-plus ice-cold beers on tap. Let Walk-Ons take care of all your tailgating needs when you have them, starting, I guess, next season. Don't forget about their friends and family bundles, tailgate platters. Order online at walkons.com or at their convenient Walk-Ons app. Check them out in Oxford or Ridgeland today. The season finale of the Davis and Igbenosin Show is up on YouTube and also on podcasts. It's brought to you by the College Corner. It's your one-stop Rebel Shop. 2 locations in the Jackson area and Ridgeland. It's next to Fleet Feet and Flowwood. It's next to Half Shell. You can also go to collegecornerstore.com, and you can find them on Facebook and Instagram. The largest selection of Rebel gear in central Mississippi. We're also brought to you by Comer Heating and Air, Southern Air Conditioning and Heating. Different names, same great products and services. If you live in Oxford, Tupelo, or the surrounding area, call Comer, 662-801-1777. If you live in Hernando, Memphis, or the surrounding area, call Southern, 662-429-4429. By the way, if you live in the Batesville area, and a lot of you do, get in touch with Comer for all of your heating and cooling needs. A-Stock Auctions is a Nashville-based online auction company with the mission to provide customers the power to name their price. All items at A-Stock start at just $1. Every item starts at just $1. Shop now at astock.bid or download their app. Name your price on thousands of items from big-name retailers. A-Stock Auctions has multiple locations around Nashville that offer local pickups, so don't miss out. If you want it, bid it, win it.
Podcast is brought to you by the Ole Miss Athletics Foundation. They've launched Forever Ole Miss, a new plan giving society to recognize supporters who have included Ole Miss athletics in their estate planning. One of the main benefits of Forever Ole Miss is the ability to designate priority points to loved ones upon the realization of a planned gift. For more information on that, Forever Ole Miss, please visit GiveToAthletics/Forever Ole Miss. And they would also like to thank Rebel Nation for the incredible support in 2022. As a result, the Champions Now campaign nearing the $52 million mark, and looking forward to a bigger year in 2023. For again, GiveToAthletics.com for more information pertaining to that. Last night wasn't the time. Today's not even really the time. Again, we're not as doctors though. What do you think the league does? What is the move from a game standpoint?
They're out of time. The Bills went back to Buffalo.
Yeah, it's just a no contest.
I guess it's a no contest. I mean, there will be playoff ramifications. I doubt if anybody cares at this point, really, but sure.
Another one?
That's the tornado warning. It's a code red alert message.
You sign up for that?
I think the whole family signed up.
Oh, really?
Yeah. Tornado warning's been issued for our location.
Yeah, somebody said it's west of town.
Yeah. I pulled the radar.
Yeah, we're good.
We're
not being completely stupid here. Because this can be a bit of an alley through here.
Oh, it is.
You've had that.
It is an alley.
Yeah.
But yes, it's moved. I mean, we're kind of right in the middle of it right now, but the worst of it's is about through.
Okay.
Best I can tell.
Okay. Speaking of what you were saying, just for, again, people curious, is that it will become a point of conversation. This is a game that would have dictated things from a playoff standpoint. The Bills currently have the 2 seed in the AFC at 12-3, and the Bengals have the 3 seed in the AFC right now at 11-4. Bengals can't fall to the 4 seed. They cannot be any worse than the 3.
They could have moved.
Had they won, they would have taken over the 2 last night.
They take over the 2, and they could move to the 1 if Kansas City loses.
That is correct. So it was an important game from a standing standpoint.
I don't know how you fix that.
Because you can't play on. There's no time to play it.
I mean,
it's just a no contest.
That's what I would guess.
It's a no contest, not a tie, though. Is there a difference, or is it just percentage points? So,
I mean,
You see what I'm saying?
Yeah, sure. I don't know the answer.
It's technically the same thing because the game didn't exist.
Again, there was a part of me last night that wondered if the NFL didn't flub this in terms of saying to the Bills, "Hey, we've got his pulse restored. Don't leave town. We're going to finish this on Tuesday. He's stabilized. It's going to be okay. We're going to finish this on Tuesday." Now, maybe everybody would have said, "No, we can't do that." I don't know the answer to that. Maybe it doesn't matter. If you get to the AFC Championship game, it matters suddenly from a football standpoint.
Yeah, again, nobody's saying it matters more than a life. That's not the point.
Not.
But it is a logistical issue that eventually you have to come to the answer.
Sure. And so how do you address that? That might not matter. If Kansas City wins, if Kansas City wins out, they host the AFC Championship game, and the Bills and Bengals play each other. But now instead of
Buffalo or Cincinnati, yeah.
I mean, it's a big difference. If you're the Bengals, you want that game in Cincinnati, not Buffalo. And if you're Buffalo, you want the game in Buffalo, not Cincinnati.
And they're saying Cincinnati's supposed to have pretty bad weather today. Which Buffalo doesn't even have all its team in one place. A lot of players stayed back in Cincinnati to be close to Hamlin last night.
I mean, they're scattered. I don't know who they play Sunday, the Bills. The Bengals play the Ravens on Sunday.
The Bills are at home against the Patriots.
Okay.
Sunday at noon.
And the Bengals play the Ravens Sunday, I think at 3:25, but I could be wrong. But they definitely play Baltimore in Cincinnati. And then after that, they're both in the playoffs the next week, so you can't squeeze it in there. So it's just done.
And you both won't have buys.
Right.
Yeah. Stephon Diggs just left the locker room last night, got in an Uber, and went to the hospital.
Yeah.
Just peace out.
I get it.
Yeah. Again, they weren't. Everybody knew.
And from the sounds of it, they weren't getting a lot of information. And that's, to me, part of the flaw there. There was information that could have been distributed last night that, the country's hanging on it. I realize that you want to contact his family, but the truth is they had contacted his family. We've got to get past this place of the media is the great enemy at all times. Yes, the media sucks. I hate most of the media. But last night, more information could have been distributed that would have calmed people to some degree. I mean, we were hours without having any update on his status when there was an update that they could have given. That, yes, he had cardiac arrest on the field. We all saw that. They were giving him CPR. You don't do CPR for someone who's not in cardiac arrest. So we knew that. Did you get a heartbeat? Yes, they did. They stabilized him to that degree. You wasn't breathing on his own. You had to intubate him, got him to the hospital, we're running tests. All of those things could have been done. You could have said that within an hour and 15 minutes of the episode. And it would have calmed things. It would have. And it should have been done. For whatever reason, everybody wanted no information out, including some of the players I've seen didn't know what was going on. They're there in the building, obviously, in the locker rooms. Information could have been passed out. That was the job. For whatever reason, the NFL, I'm sure because the NFL was absolutely terrified of the worst nightmare situation that basically happened on the field. You and I have talked about this. It's the reason why when people say, man, they've really watered down professional football. Well, you saw it last night. Why? Number one, it's the right thing to do. Number two, from a corporate standpoint, you simply cannot have a player die on the field. Can't happen. Look at the visceral reaction to it. And so that's why they're so stringent about targeting and things of that nature, because number one, it's the right thing to do. And number two, you're preserving the sport. Because all the people last night kept doing like the vaccine stuff. And I'm like, watch the replay. You can see the blunt force from Higgins hitting him in the chest. It kind of the way he was kind of almost falling a little bit and he got hit. He was sort of out of position a little bit. I don't mean that as a criticism. I just mean a football thing. You could see it. And I mean,
yeah.
It's a wonder, frankly, as big and fast as these people are and as hard as they hit, it's a wonder this hasn't happened before, that it was such a freak thing.
Yeah, because it's not something I've ever noticed in the game before.
No, I've never even thought about it. You think about the spinal cord stuff.
Because that type of hit happened all the time. A couple people saying you could play the game. Well, the problem is if you delay, you're saying take out the week between the championship games and the Super Bowl.
I mean, I guess you could, but man, there's a lot of logistical planning that's been put in place for that. I mean, you'll laugh at what I'm about to say, but you've got so much of the NFL extravaganza stuff that's planned for Vegas for the Pro Bowl thing. You'd have to change. There'd be a lot there. I mean, you could do it.
Yeah, I guess it's happened twice, judging by the stream.
You're backing up the playoffs for everybody else a full week. So you're giving the teams with a bye a 2-week bye.
Oh, yeah.
And they probably don't want a 2-week bye.
It's true. And potentially only one of the teams, not the other, if it's the Bills that end up with the...
Yeah.
The Bills beating the Chiefs now does not matter. There's no head-to-head.
I mean, the only other thing you could do is you could flip a coin. Go totally random and go, okay, the game was being played. Cincinnati was winning. It was early. We're going to assume something and flip a coin.
And there's no way.
I mean,
most publicized coin flip in the history of the world.
Well, I mean, look, you said, hey, look. I mean, I think both sides would admit the football doesn't matter.
But you do have to make a decision.
So you got to make a decision. And I don't think you can ask them to go play 2 games in one weekend. That probably won't work. So I guess you could back it all up and let them play in 2 Sundays. But, man, you're really messing with logistics at that point.
My guess is just a straight no contest.
Winning percentages, and it just is what it is. Bills are the 2, Bengals are the 3.
Yeah, the Bills would have no chance of catching the Chiefs at that point. Again, I get it, doesn't matter, but they would have no chance of catching the Chiefs at that point because even if the Chiefs lost, they would still, they can't. They would have one more win. So
you're fooling with a lot of logistics. You could do it. But you're doing it on the other side, too. You're doing it also in the NFC. Suddenly you're telling the Eagles, hey, you guys don't play for 2 weeks. Or the Cowboys. I guess the Cowboys could still catch them. Those decisions, if you're going to do it, though, those decisions have to be made here in the next day or two because coaches have planning. You've got to figure out. I could impact whether you play guys in week 17. I don't know. Beats me. Based on last night and how slow they were to announce anything, this will take weeks for them to come up with something. I just wasn't impressed with the way the NFL handled it. I really wasn't. I watched Joe Burrow pick up a football, and I said, someone told him they're playing.
Oh, sure. I think it was somebody on site that was an idiot, as I think what happened.
Could be.
I don't think like Goodell goes, hey, 5 minutes, get him out there.
Oh,
I think
no.
somebody at the stadium goes, well, protocol says. And okay, great, thanks, minion. Like, I think that's what happened. Some game ops dude there in Buffalo, in Cincinnati.
But it would have been a high-up game ops guy. And the truth is, the NFL, especially at these Monday night games, they always have a rep who's on the phone with the league.
But I guess my point is,
it's not just a typical Sunday Detroit Carolina game. I mean, this was the NFL was dialed into this game.
Yeah, you didn't have 9 going on at once and something slips through.
There was a 10-minute moment where a player's on the field fighting for his life. There were phone calls made. In those 10 minutes, there was communication. And at some point in the minutes following,
the league's Monday night rep was around because they showed her with the coaches down by the locker rooms.
And again, at some point in the moments after that, someone told Joe Burrow, hey, we're playing in a few minutes. You might want to get warm. Because the look on his face as he's throwing a football is, what the hell am I doing? He just didn't make that decision on his own. 0 chance. Someone told the quarterback of the so it wasn't some minion.
Yeah.
It was somebody with agency. So it was somebody with authority told the Bengals, I'm speaking specifically of their sideline,
Yeah, sure.
told the Bengals, hey, we're going to resume. And
well, because you saw Taylor walk across to McDermott and basically go, hey, look, I know it. Hell no. Like, no, come on.
Well, it almost was like the Bills were like, because Stephon Diggs is doing the rah-rah thing. Remember that?
Trying to get everybody.
Telling everybody, hey, let's go play. Let's get going. And as soon as he finished, like they all kind of rallied around him for a minute. I don't mean like literally. I mean like in a circle. And then guys just went back and started sitting on the bench and crying again.
Yeah.
And at that point, I don't know whether – I mean, I don't know. I wasn't there, obviously. But it appears that the Bengals didn't want to go either, obviously. And they looked over there and was like, let's just end this. I think the coaches decided on their own, on the behest of their players, to say, no, we're not doing this.
Yeah.
But again, someone told the Bengals, you guys are about to play.
Yes.
And Joe Burrow was like, well, we've got the ball.
So
I guess I need to get loose because I'm a quarterback.
Yeah.
He wasn't like, hey, let's go get him. We got him on the ropes. No, come give me a break. He was just literally consoling his friend, Josh Allen.
Yeah.
He didn't want to play football. Someone told him, you're playing football.
Yeah.
I'd like to know how that all went about because that was really callous.
And they need to explain that. There's no doubt about that. 100%. Somebody asking games that do matter this weekend. There are a few. Tennessee at Jacksonville. That one matters in that AFC South. That is whatever. Cincinnati's got Baltimore this weekend here in the final week of the season. The Buccaneers have clinched the NFC South, so nothing to do with the South now at this point after they beat the Panthers. Minnesota Chicago could have some seeding ramifications for the Vikings. Let's see, looking through, and then your Sunday night game definitely has some implications. Packers and Lions, depending on other games. Packers can get in with a win, I believe. Yes. The Lions need a win and a Rams win over the Seahawks, if I have that correct in my head.
Yep.
I could be wrong, but I think that is.
The Packers control their own destiny.
Packers can win at home in a very frigid Sunday night at Lambeau. The Lions will already know whether they can win and control their own destiny or not because the Rams-Seattle game is at 3:25.
Oh.
So it will be over prior to.
You're either going to get
the Lions will either really care or really not give two damns.
They're either going to be checked in or checked out.
Yeah. Yeah, the Packers will be watching that going, oh, well, okay.
Well, NBC's going, come on, Seahawks.
Rams.
Oh, Rams. Yeah, come on, Rams.
Baker Mayfield's our boy right now. We got to get this done. Yeah.
Do it for the Peacock.
Yeah. Oh, God. Jeez. Got a break in a second. I got a couple other topics, but you buying this Harbaugh thing? NFL, if they come calling, time to go. I mean, he toyed with it last year.
The sourcing's pretty good. I think he wanted the NFL job last year and didn't get it. So, yeah. Where's Michigan go? Jim Harbaugh leaves. That's a big time job.
Huge job. Huge.
I mean, it's a great job. It's a top 5 job. Who takes that job?
There's no obvious thing, is there?
Not that I can think of. I mean, maybe there's somebody that I'm just not thinking about it.
Oh, the Dolphins can still get in? I thought they were eliminated. Okay. I didn't know they still had a chance.
It would be in their best interest not to. They need to pack it up. They got work to do.
Yeah. I mean, that's right. Michigan had such an opportunity this season to just get to the final and make that extra step.
Yeah.
And then now Harbaugh's lost, 6 bowl games in a row?
Is that right?
Yeah. Including getting hammered in last year's playoff against Georgia. And then just not showing in the first half against TCU.
Yeah, they dug such a hole.
Saturday. I mean, they were bad.
And TCU was great.
Yeah.
I mean, they were.
They were.
They silenced all the you don't belong.
No, you won.
I mean, the hell we didn't.
Right there.
We're playing on the last night. You're not.
Yeah. So
I don't. Do you go after Dykes? Would he take the Michigan job?
That doesn't feel right at all.
I mean, the
That
guy
doesn't feel right at
the
all.
guy that would have felt right's gone. Fickle.
Go take him. I'm kidding.
I mean, you probably couldn't at this point. If I'm Fickle, I'm like, hey, have we signed this yet? Is
Just,
the ink dry?
a lot of coaches don't sign the contract for several months. You know, they don't really get around to that.
I mean, I don't think he could do
I'm
that.
kidding.
But I don't know who they would go to. No clue.
Yeah. Podcast brought to you in part by G&M Pharmacy, 662-236-2222. They deliver locally in the Oxford area, and they offer MedSync to fill your prescriptions the same day each month and take care of you. One trip to the pharmacy, one delivery, and you have everything you need when you need it with G&M. You also can transfer your medications very easily. You make one call, they take care of the rest here, whether it be with them or with Tyson Drugs in Holly Springs. So again, with G&M, that's 662-236-2222.
We're also brought to you by Solutions RX. It is a probiotic multivitamin supplement company created by Ole Miss Pharmacy alum Chris Cornelison. It's pharmaceutical grade, manufactured right here inside the U.S., based out of Iuka, Mississippi. If you take diabetes medication, high blood pressure medication, cholesterol medications, sometimes those typically cause some side effects like muscle pain, brain fog, energy loss. It's due to a depletion of minerals and vitamins in the body, but Chris formulated a product called Prescription Support to put those vitamins back into your body, help with side effects, helping you stay more compliant, taking your medications, helping you stay healthier over the long term. It's available in local independent pharmacies across the continental U.S., including all across Mississippi, or on their website, solutionsrx.com. Enter the promo code OEP at checkout, and you get 10% off your first order. Game Changer patches are the only two-patch system available in the market to stop hangovers before they start. The warm-up patch is used before or while you drink. The overtime patch used after you've been drinking to recover while you sleep. The all-natural ingredients will keep you in the game, ready for your next play. So go to GameChangerPatch.com, promo code RebelGrove20 at checkout for 20% off your purchase. We're brought to you by ACS. It's owned and operated by my friend Clay McNutt in Baldwin, Mississippi. It's a complete electrical control system solution provider, a Rockwell Automation recognized system integrator. They've got a full-time dedicated emergency service and troubleshooting staff, and a UL 508A panel shop. To learn more about ACS, go to acsllcms.com or call 662-601-4381. Also brought to you by Lammon's Fine Jewelry. Lammon's, it's getting to be, about a month and a half from Valentine's Day. The spring weddings and all of that stuff. If you are in the market for any of that, you need to get in touch with our friends at Lammon's. It's 1126 North Lamar Boulevard in Oxford. They've been serving the Oxford area for 3/4 of a century. Engagement rings, wedding rings, fine jewelry, watches, pearls, fashion jewelry, children's jewelry, collectibles, and more. Lammon's is the gold standard in fine jewelry. Visit them at lammonsfinejewelry.com or call them at 662-234-2777.
Podcast also brought to you by Johnston Hill Creamery, johnstonhillcreamery.com. It is, again, king cake season. You can get your orders in now live on their website. Pick up starting this week. They've also added a new flavor, the blueberry cheesecake flavor. The 24-hour notice is all that's required to order these cheesecakes. Took advantage of that last year. It is here again. Several different options for you. Again, they make all their cheeses locally and in-house, whether it be charcuterie boards, catering, grazing tables, workshops, and more. And now king cake as we get into January. So that's 662-419-9201. Cheese at johnstonhillcreamery.com, or order their food directly on their website. Again, johnstonhillcreamery.com. Again, a couple different things from an Ole Miss standpoint since the last time we spoke. Really not a ton. Zach Evans has declared for the NFL draft. That was to be expected, and did happen there for him. It does a little bit mean Riscano, Ole Miss probably wants a little bit out of him next year. You've got Judkins back, obviously. You'll get another chance to see if Bentley can take a step or if he just can't play at this level. I don't know.
They want to add another back out of the
Yeah.
portal is what I'm told.
Frankly, they need, you just kind of get best available out of the portal and it'll work wherever it's at. They need a lot of dudes in a lot of places.
Yeah.
There's no position where you go, nope, don't need a guy. We're good. Like, that doesn't happen. Just if you can get a dude, get a dude. Especially with the no 25, like whatever. Sounds
yeah, they've
good.
got, from a numbers standpoint, they're right around 60 right now. They've got 12 signees. So do the math. Got about 13 as of this moment that you can add out of the portal. I don't know how many they've got committed. What, 3, 4 out of the portal? So there's a chance that another couple of guys get in the portal from the current roster. So probably take some math guesses as to what they're looking at. And I don't anticipate this being done, by the way, until July.
It's not going to be done until July.
I've learned, Chase, that I must say this routinely.
I mean, again, there'll be going to be some other dudes this month, and then it's going to stop because the window stops to get in the portal, and school is going to begin. Again, Ole Miss is teacher approved last day to add classes February 3rd, but really it's more like January 30th, something like that, if you're just being real here. So, yeah, you got a month of this, and then after the spring, it opens back up for 15 or 20 days or 30 days or whatever it is. And again, that's only to get into the portal, not to make the decision. And then you do the same thing. They just got to be there before school starts or practice begins or whatever the rule would technically be. Yeah, August would be the best way to put that. So,
actually, I think they have to be. I'm not sure. I'm just going to say July just for safety, but it might be August.
I think it's August.
It's going to be a minute.
I mean, you can't miss 2 weeks of practice, but technically it can be August.
Right.
I mean, you technically can transfer like August 20th.
Yeah.
Right? As long as you're in class.
I think so. You have to be in the portal by a certain date, I suppose.
Well, you do have to do that.
Right,
yeah,
right,
the window for that's like May 1st to May 15th or something. I don't know. Whatever. Yeah. I don't know. It's in my key dates article on rebelgrove.com. Getting asked about the Spencer Sanders thing. Look, there's a difference in Spencer Sanders having reached out to by Ole Miss and him taking a backup quarterback job. If Spencer Sanders ends up at Ole Miss, he had no options to be a starting quarterback at the FBS level because why would you go to be a backup? I mean, it doesn't make sense.
I mean, it
right
feels like Auburn to me.
Oh, really? Well, they thought they had Grayson McCall. He pulled out. He stayed at Coastal.
There were some issues.
Yeah. And then they thought they were having a good chance at the Leary kid. He goes to Kentucky.
McCall apparently is a very good athlete at Coastal Carolina.
Is he?
Yeah.
He's majoring in football?
There's a reason I just said athlete.
Okay.
I left the other part out. Like if he played in the NCAA tournament, when he came up to the podium, they wouldn't say, hey, we're going to have questions for the student athletes first. They would say, hey, we have some questions for the student athletes and Grayson. And then when you guys get done with them, we'll dismiss them.
Yeah.
I always get a kick out of that.
The NCAA does like the student athlete tournament press conferences.
They questions for them first because presumably they're going to get out of here and they're going to go study in the immediate aftermath of this game.
That is a good point.
Every time, man, I laugh. And I used to laugh out loud at it because it just cracks me up. It still makes me laugh. Like, what are they going to do? They're going to leave right this moment, go back to the locker room, and
then wait on the coach to leave the
and thing. Then hit the chemistry while they're waiting on the coach? Come on.
Yeah. College World Series did that every time, too.
Yeah. Players got to go.
Yeah. But now we're going to dismiss the players, and now questions for Mike.
So the players can go study. But I don't know. I've not to be conspiratorial, but if you told me that he was being encouraged to mention Ole Miss occasionally just to build up the drama of a victory, I'd buy it.
Oh,
sure.
Look at you.
Mm-hmm.
Think so?
But you wrote about it in your thing. I'm with you. That week leading up to that game, there's going to be some animus.
It's just going to be a weird week. I mean, it really is. It's a game Ole Miss has to have if they're trying to get to a number. It just is.
Sure.
I mean, you start counting games, that's when you got to count.
Well, if we're going to do the 9 wins as the floor thing, you have to beat Auburn.
To stay on schedule to any point, you need at least 8 next year, and you probably need 9. You play Alabama and you play Georgia. And I picked out 3 weeks for a reason in that date thing for next season, and it was Arkansas, Auburn, and Mississippi State.
Yeah.
You can't get there unless you win at least 2 and probably all 3 of those.
Well, 2 for sure.
Yeah.
I mean, 9 wins? Yeah, you probably have to win all 3 of those games.
Mm-hmm. And look, huge win yesterday. They're a good program. Willie Fritz has done a nice job. You have to win the Tulane game.
Of course.
You have to win the Tulane game. And Ole Miss is going to be favored against Tulane.
Of course.
Saying that a game is losable does not mean you are predicting a loss. I'm like, that is not the same thing.
Last time I said it, I got fired. So,
I mean, yesterday, it's like, and again, I'm not doing the, hey, one person said something, but a couple of goes, hey, you said, I was like, no, I said you could lose, not you were going to lose.
Of course you could lose. I mean, look at, they just beat USC.
Now that running back declared for the draft, and he's a beast.
He's a beast.
But Pratt's back.
They've done a really good job. They're going to be super pumped. It's going to be at their place. It's going to be an SEC team.
It's going to be harder to get tickets. It's only 30,000 seat stadium. It's not going to be this Superdome 60,000 Ole Miss people whatever thing.
I mean, the only point that people like you and I are making is that it won't be your typical Tulane game where you can go down there and sleepwalk through it and there's 4 people in the stadium.
We've watched that happen
multiple times.
Yeah, we have seen that.
Fritz is a really good coach. They've got a program that's playing with.
They have a hellaciously big game the week before for their level. They play South Al at home the week before.
Yeah,
and then they play Ole Miss.
Yeah, that's all. That's all anybody's saying. I'm picking Ole Miss to win the game. I'm saying if the football gods came down and told me that it was a close game, am I shocked? No, not even a little bit. Because look, how the hell can you? Here's the thing about Ole Miss right now. How in the hell can you really predict what Ole Miss is or isn't going to be today on January the 3rd?
We don't know the roster.
I mean, there's 15 people that are going to
play for them that don't exist right now.
Presumably play fairly large roles, and we don't know who they are. How in the world can I do that? I mean, you really can't. I don't think that's a hot take. I don't know what Tulane's roster will look like.
No.
I don't know what anybody's roster is going outside of about Georgia.
Know what theirs is going to look like.
I'm going to predict an L in Athens. There, I'll say it. On the whole schedule, that's about it. I'd pencil in an L in Tuscaloosa. And there's some W's that I'd put in. Yeah, obviously, sure. Mercer. Georgia Tech. Vanderbilt.
Yeah, sure.
And then you start getting into where you want your pencil. Someone goes, here's a Sharpie.
Yeah, you can't miss one of these. You get a Sharpie.
Got to get these right.
You're probably doing 4 games.
Yeah, and the others you're like, well, can I use that erasable ink?
Yeah.
Here? Can I
the washable marker?
Yeah, can I have a couple of mulligans? I mean, yeah, sure, of course. I mean, I wouldn't be crazy about putting the Vanderbilt game as a Sharpie. I'd do it, but I'd be like, well, I kind of worry about it a little. Look, I know it's here. I can't ignore what happened the last 6 weeks of the season. I saw it. There's stuff. I mean, I had cultural questions at the end of the year.
Yeah, sure, of course.
I think those are fair. So, but lots of rosters are in total upheaval right now.
Almost all.
So,
welcome to the world of college football in 2023.
Trying to predict games in January that won't get played until September. I mean, number one, it's always kind of foolish. It's just talk radio.
It's really stupid now, though.
But now it's almost impossible. You're just guessing. Does Tulane's roster get rated? I don't know. Did 15 Tulane guys jump in the portal in the next 24 hours just to see what their value is after they went 11-2? Or they go 11-2? 12-2. I mean,
won the AAC, won the Cotton Bowl, 12-2.
Hell of a year.
Went 2-10 last year.
Yeah.
Largest turnaround in college football history.
Won at Kansas State. Here's the team that beat Kansas State in Manhattan and beat USC on a neutral field. And, I mean, you can't go, oh, that's a W. It probably is. But, they'll be geeked up for you. They're going to spend a lot of time getting ready for you. And Ole Miss will spend a lot of time getting ready for them.
Yeah, because Ole Miss has Mercer the week before.
Yeah. I mean, frankly, if I'm Ole Miss, I'm kind of glad that game's where it is on the schedule.
Yeah, it's
because I get some people's attention.
Yeah, it's a good spot.
I mean, one of the things that I think happened with Ole Miss a little bit this year is that the first part of the season was so sleepy because you played people that just couldn't beat you.
Yeah, I mean, look, that is the 9-3 path. I mean, Corey goes, if Ole Miss ended up 9-3 next year, that's about how you'd have to script it. I mean, it's everybody but LSU, Alabama, and Georgia.
Yeah.
That's winning coin flips.
Well, several.
Yeah.
But I mean, it's doable. But I mean, like if you said to me today, hey, 9-3, I got lots of questions. Okay, well, who are the linebackers? Does that mean Perkins was ready from day one to be an impact guy?
Mm-hmm.
Maybe he is. What do you have at receiver?
Yeah. Is Chris Marshall the Chris Marshall that he's possible?
Yeah. Is Aiden Williams impact immediately? I mean, there's questions I have. What about the offensive line? Because it wasn't particularly good at the end of the season, and Nick Broker's gone.
Yeah.
So what does it look like? I mean, again, linebacker. Where's your depth at linebacker? There's stuff.
Troy Brown was really good.
Yeah, Troy Brown was great.
Better than he's getting credit for.
Yeah, 2 years in a row, Ole Miss had transfer linebackers come in and play extremely well. So what does it look like behind those guys? You wrote a story today about tackling. Ole Miss did not tackle well.
Ole Miss was next to last in the league in tackling. In missed tackle percentage, meaning you missed the most tackles of anybody in the league. They had the second. They missed the most tackles in the league. They had the second percentage of missed tackles in the league, ahead of only Vanderbilt, 17% from a team. That's a lot of extra yards, a lot of possessions that continue because of that. And Troy Brown was the one guy that when you put in total tackles and success of making tackles, by far led the team. He was Ole Miss's top tackler, and Troy Brown only missed 6.9% of his tackles this season. That's a really good number.
Oh, listen.
I mean, that's a number.
And he did.
In comparison,
a lot of that
Kentucky
hurt.
or Georgia led the league in missed tackles, and as a team, they were at 12%. So Troy Brown was twice as good as the team that led the SEC.
He put a lot of good film on.
He did.
I mean,
he could use a little side. There's some stuff, but yeah, I mean, he did all he could do. He made the most of the 1 year he could possibly make into it, and played through a hell of an injury.
He did. He played hurt. I mean, bad hurt. People didn't see it because we had to almost kind of wait a little while to tape, but there was one of those Sundays that it hurt him to reach and hit the button. Like when you do a Zoom call, you have to say, hey, I'm being recorded. We had to edit 10, 15 seconds of the beginning out because reaching over to hit that button caused significant pain. And I was like, hey, don't worry about it. We'll wait till you're composed and then we'll get rolling. I mean, I almost was like, hey, you don't have to do this today. He's like, no, I want to do it. I mean, he hurt, but he played terrific. But my point is like if you're doing this today and you're like, hey, pick the season, you're just guessing on a bunch of stuff.
You're grading helmets.
Can you say get them to 9 wins? Well, sure, but I'm taking a lot of assumptions. And then if you said, can you get them to 5 wins? Well, sure, but I'm making a lot of assumptions.
Yeah, what goes to hell in a handbasket.
I mean, like who?
Here's the sneaky one.
Like, what does Auburn look like? I don't know. I mean, Auburn's got wild portal stuff. What does Arkansas look like?
They've got all kind of crap.
20-something dudes in the portal. Yeah. I mean, who do they replace them with? I mean, they might have. They've got a new defensive coordinator. They might have a new offensive coordinator when it's all said and done. Hey, what does Mississippi State look like? I mean, he waited till the game was over because it was the right thing to do. But then, I mean, he's upheaving his staff. He's bringing in his people. Is he going to run a different offense?
Yeah, it does not sound like they're running the air raid. They're going to a more typical offense.
So what does Rodgers look like in a typical offense? Probably not as good as he does the air raid. They're just, again, you can do this with everyone outside of probably Georgia.
Yeah.
What do you look like?
LSU has a lot back.
LSU's going to be a bitch.
Yeah. I get what happened, and we'll talk about. I kind of want to talk about bowl season in a second after this break, but LSU didn't necessarily do anything wrong yesterday, but they ran it up on a team that was playing a third-string quarterback, and didn't have their starter because the damn brother died. Yeah. There was a little like, come on, guys, what the hell are you doing?
If you're wanting to get back to having a team that you just don't like because it's
LSU could easily get there for you.
LSU's going to be the, like wrestling terms, the bad guy that always pulls out like something out of his trunks and hits you with it. Auburn's going to be Hugh's going to do that fake religion shit. He just is. Sorry. That's what it is. And they're going to do that. They're going to be the kid at football practice. You know what I'm talking about.
100 all the time.
It's the walkthrough.
Yeah.
It's Thursday.
Mm-hmm.
You play tomorrow. You're in shorts. And you do the little tackling thing where everyone understands we're barely thudding.
Yeah.
And this guy goes and runs right through your chest. And you're like, what the hell are you doing? Because he just can't stop. Just can't stop being Mr. Milk and Cookie all day long. The right guy. That's them.
Lunch pail, hard hat.
Yes. Oh, doing it the right way. And boy, they're just, it's just going to be.
We look from a website, a podcast standpoint. We get an SEC West that you just mentioned gets LSU as you say, Auburn as you say, and we didn't even get to whatever the hell A&M's doing or not doing next year. The West is just it is the best men's soap opera of all time next year.
Here's what A&M's got,
dudes.
I mean, look, unless everyone you can make fun of whoever's ratings you want to, but when rivals 247,
I don't care. I refuse.
3,
I'm not doing it.
I know.
I'm not doing it.
But what I'm saying is,
I know.
I'm saying is unless you dismiss all of the networks,
I know, and
you can, that's cool with that. I refuse to get into ratings. I just don't. I don't care. Whatever.
Okay.
But unless you tell me that they're all wrong, On 3, 247, ESPN, Rivals, whoever, that is one talented roster. I mean, they are loaded, man. Just up and down the roster with 4- and 5-star guys.
Sure.
And maybe everyone's wrong.
They can be talented and still be a train wreck.
Sure.
We just watched it.
We watched it. But the talent makes them dangerous.
Sure.
Because they
looked really good against LSU in that finale.
Because I dare say if you went to Lane Kiffin, if you went to Zach Arnett, if you went to Sam Pittman, if you went to
pretty much anybody outside
Hugh
2 or 3
Freeze,
dudes,
and said, you want to trade rosters? Just flip rosters. I think they'd go, yes. Right now. No questions asked. So that makes them dangerous. Because if they ever put it together, and
I'm just saying I'm not predicting 10-2.
Shit,
no.
But again, you go back into doing the whole WL thing. Do you want to take a Sharpie with Texas A&M and Oxford and go W? No. I mean, as of today, they have not only the better roster, they have the far better roster. It's not even close. They've got issues.
Plenty.
I mean, look, I don't know what LSU's going to look like on the heels of this scandal that Brian Kelly basically addressed yesterday.
Mm-hmm.
Cole Kubelik's tweet, by the way.
What did he do?
The trains.
I didn't see this.
The trains.
I didn't see this.
Yeah, it was funny.
Okay, I'll grab it in a second. Podcast brought to you in part by Northeast Spark NESPRC. Service people across rural communities. 2 packages, the Ignite, the 100 Mbps, or the Blaze, the 1 gig that powers the Clark Ford studio. Your hometown team bringing you world-class broadband. That's nespark.com. 662-238-3159. Phone services available. Parental controls, network security, a wireless mesh extender for those who need that extra step, but you probably won't. And plenty more as well. So, again, whether it be Lafayette, Pontotoc, or Union counties, nespark.com, 662-238-3159.
We're also brought to you by Pinnacle. We'll have a Mind on My Money on Thursday. It's been a couple of weeks. Last week was my fault, but we'll be back to it. It's brought to you by Pinnacle, based in Madison, Mississippi. They've got clients in multiple states, advisors in multiple states as well. They provide detailed, specialized investment management, financial planning, retirement planning for individuals and businesses, and much, much more. It's mypinwealth.com, MYPINN wealth.com. If you're thinking about a summer vacation, well, I'm kind of starting to look at one, even though it's a million years away and I might not be able to afford it. But it's brought to you by, you can get one by John Edwards, Regency Travel Incorporated in Memphis. All you got to do is get in touch with him. Just give him some parameters, give him a budget. He's going to give you options that you're probably not going to find on your own. He's going to help you plan a trip that creates a lifetime of unique memories. 901-494-3387. Or send him an email, jedwards@regencytravel.net. First-time clients can save $50 off their first booked trip just by telling John you heard about Regency Travel on the podcast. I'll have a mailbag up tomorrow. It's brought to you by Whitney McNutt of Tommy Morgan Incorporated Realtors, serving you for all your real estate needs in Oxford and Tupelo. She sells condos, land, commercial, and residential family homes. And you can reach her at 662-567-2573 or 662-842-3844. Also brought to you by Service Specialist Staffing and Recruiting Agency. connecting great job opportunities to candidates since 1967. If you're on the job hunt, whether you're seeking an entry-level position or you're a seasoned professional, they have opportunities across the board. IT, engineering, dentistry, accounting, law, manufacturing, human resources, or more. They can help you at Service Specialist. It's always free to the candidates. So give Will, Sydney, or Kelsey a call, 662-832-5138, or check out their new and improved website, servicespecialistltd.com. Don't just accept what you see, but imagine something new. Step forward, chase after a better version of yourself. Every day, Corinth Dental is helping people reinvent themselves one smile at a time. Dr. Bubba McQueen, Dr. Jenny Beth Hendrick are devoted to restoring and enhancing the natural beauty of your smile using conservative, state-of-the-art procedures, including Invisalign. These clear aligners are the virtually invisible way to improve your smile. So call Corinth Dental today for a no-cost digital scan of your teeth. Let them show you the way to a straighter, healthier smile. 12 months, no down payment financing available at corinthdental.com. And if you're a displaced corporate exec or you're wanting to put your career in your own hands, if you're an experienced entrepreneur wanting to diversify, Andy Ledecky can help you. He's a longtime Rivals board member, diehard college football fan, franchise veteran. He owns multiple franchises and businesses, uses his expertise to help others find their American dream through a very thorough and free consultation process. Call Andy, put your life and career in your own hands, 100% free. You got nothing to lose. It's myperfectfranchise.net or Andy at myperfectfranchise.net for email, or 404-973-9901.
I was getting into college football in a second. I was listening to an audiobook yesterday, and one of the topics was on Larry Bird. I had no idea. This is random, but I just thought of it in the middle of the commercial break. Is we know that teams didn't shoot 3-pointers much during the 80s and stuff, and that's really picked up in recent years with analytics. But Bird had told people he never even practiced the shot, that he would only practice 3-point shots the week before the 3-point contest in the All-Star game. And had you actually practiced it, A, what would Bird's percentages be compared to what they are now? And then 2, how much more of a weapon that would have been over the course of his tenure, because the 3-point line came in 1980. He had it the whole time.
Mm-hmm.
And I mean, it would be like a top level Hall of Fame shooter today. It'd be like Steph, but in the 80s when nobody knew how to handle it at all. I mean, you're talking about the Celtics not understanding the value of the 3-point line in relation to having the best 3-point shooter of his generation available and just not even working on the shot. It's really fascinating looking back 35 years, 40 years later. I mean, he said he did not work on it.
I mean, you're too young to remember when watching him live in his he was able to get to whatever spot on the floor he wanted to get to, and was just an offensive weapon. And also, here's the thing about Bird. I went down the Larry Bird rabbit hole not long ago for some reason, and I hated Bird because I was a Lakers fan.
Why are you a Lakers fan?
I just liked Magic.
I know everybody was a Lakers or a Celtics fan. But
I liked Magic.
Okay.
Bird, analytically, like in the history of the game, is top 5 or 6 defensive.
Okay.
He was a beast. Bird was 6'10". He was Kevin Durant, if Kevin Durant were a great defender. That's how good he was.
And in an era when they didn't get the calls like they do now.
Well, yeah. I mean, he would have spent his life on the free throw line.
Yeah. And hit them.
Oh, yeah. It was money. Those two teams, man, when Lakers, Celtics, it was awesome. When you think about how many players were on that court, like elite players, Kevin McHale, James Worthy, Kareem. I mean, even the role players like Byron Scott and Dennis Johnson, those were like borderline Hall of Fame players.
It's a little recency bias. You had Tulane knocking off USC yesterday, scoring 16 points in the final 4 minutes. Fun game. Had the 2 playoff games, which were by far the best combination of playoff games we have had. 2 of the top 4 or 5 playoff games, period, that we've had in college football to this
Mhm.
point. I mean, you had the overtime Alabama-Georgia game. You had the Georgia-Oklahoma game. There's been a few.
Oh,
but,
yeah. The one in the Rose Bowl, sure.
You know, that's basically the list, though, for the most part in these games. Had them on the same night. It's not really a bowls matter or don't matter because some bowls matter, some bowls don't matter. Depends who the teams are. It just kind of is whatever. And matter and are fun are two different things, too.
Of course.
To your fan bases versus national or whatever. There's a lot of different ways to term those things. It's a good weekend for college football, though. They got games they sort of needed to thrust into next year in a way. Thought that
for the people
bowl season had been bad for the average fan who's just watching for entertainment. We hadn't had a lot of close games. And then from like the 28th on, really from Arkansas, Kansas, it picked up and you had a pretty fun every day, had some stuff in it that was kind of took over social media in a way that college football had not done the few days before that.
For the people like me who want a 12-team playoff because it will just be more fun, this was a great weekend. Like, yeah. Look, is Tulane going to win the national championship? Of course not. But with that game in a playoff setting, like winner gets to move on.
Oh,
I mean, everyone would have been glued to it. Instead, it was just kind of on in the background. Like for me, I was up here, I was doing some work. Actually, when it was 15 points with 6 minutes left, I left. Took the dogs for a walk.
I turned the channel. I watched most of it. Turned the channel when they went up 16 or whatever, and then I guess when they scored the next time, I flipped it back on and watched the rest of it.
Yeah,
came back.
I heard that they had scored, but by then I was across the neighborhood. Yeah, it was too late.
You were out at that point.
It was done. Whatever. So when they came back and won, I was like, well, of course they did. But my point was that you would have watched that. There'd be more discussion of it had that been a playoff game.
Because like TCU Michigan was awesome.
Yeah, it was a great game.
Just watching chaos.
Yeah,
which is what's great about college football. It's not always about gameplay. It's about drama and chaos.
But the bowls, they don't have to go. The people that like the bowls have to go away. No, they don't.
No.
The bowls are what they always were.
They're trips and they're interesting for fan bases and sometimes teams. That's it.
Well, it's also like the
Liberty Bowl can really matter to a fan base given whatever's going on in their situation right then.
Well, again, it's December the 28th at 3:30 in the afternoon. I mean, what else you doing? It's like the Texas Bowl. Does the Texas Bowl matter? No. It was a made-for-TV event. It was. That doesn't mean that it wasn't a good trip. Like Mason talked about what a great trip it was. It was a cool experience. They had fun. That's cool. You still have those things. I mean, the game that I went to in Boise or the game I went to in Vegas, those games don't matter. But it matters to the kids. The kids got to go make a trip. But the point is that your ESPN and networks, they want programming in those 2 weeks. It's the holidays. People are off. Their hosts for their silly shows are taking time off.
College football has never been about bowls mattering in the context that we are discussing right now. So, yes, we're going to have a few more bowls matter, but the other bowls are going to matter the exact same as they would have mattered for the last 50 years.
They don't change. The Gasparilla Bowl can still just go be the Gasparilla Bowl. It's fine.
Kids can go to Tampa and have a nice time.
It's December the 23rd. You either watch it or you don't. I mean, did the Hawaii Bowl being close or not close impact your Christmas Eve? Nope. But it gave ESPN something to put on the screen, which is what it's there for.
And gets a lot of background.
Turn it on. They can sell it.
That's what bowls are. When they're close, late third, you go, oh, I'm interested for the final quarter.
Yeah.
Nobody watches many bowls in the first half. You watch a lot of second halves of bowls that are close.
Well, there's a reason that they only play like one bowl on the 26th and only one or two on the 27th. And then starting on the 28th, it's like, boom. Well, they have analytics that show that's what people watch.
Felt weird. And look, they do it every time the NFL is on New Year's Day. This was not uncommon. Right. It happened in 2017. But it felt weird yesterday getting all those bowls on the second, not the first, and then being done by 7 o'clock. Now that we had the NFL game, and I understand why, and duh. But it felt weird when you looked at the schedule and saw 11, 12, 12, 4. And you went, oh.
Sure.
Okay.
And next year they'll do that I guess next year they'll have the semifinals on New Year's Day. We'll get back to normal.
Yeah. Where are they at?
Because it'll be a Monday. It's the Rose and the
Oh, if they get their game.
I think it's Rose and Sugar.
Oh. Got a lot of ego in that semifinal day.
Well, kudos to the Sugar. They ate their ego for a year.
They really did.
Played at 11 a.m.
They did the same thing that Saban does when he watches the Gumps run at him and just go, money, money,
Sure.
money, money. Just shut up. Money.
They took one for the team.
Money.
They'll get their moment next year. They'll probably get a primetime game.
I really hate we were not having podcast when the dude from the California paper compared the Rose Bowl losing its 4:00 time slot every year to society's issues and the beginning of the end of the world. Did you see this?
I did not.
Yeah, you missed a look. I'm talking about it a week and a half later, so columnist did his job. Kudos, columnist. Holy hell at what they think about this game in Pasadena. Oh my God.
Oh, they think the world stops with
I mean, hyperbole to an extent
Yes.
that it is what's wrong with the country that they're worried about something other than, like, you're not worried about tradition and letting the Rose Bowl keep their slot. That corporate greed has taken over. And it's like,
Well, yeah.
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 What? You still get to play the game. Nobody took your game. They took your sunset occasionally. That's all they did.
Not even very much.
They just took your sunset.
Next year, they'll get their sunset. I think they'll move the game up 1 hour.
Is that what it is?
And instead of having Big Ten, Pac-12, you'll just have 2 of the top 4 teams in the country.
Well, they don't want that.
Well, tough.
They want to combine the country, East versus West, all congregating here.
Change is hard. Change is difficult. Move on. A 12-team playoff is going to be a lot of fun. We're going to get those 4 games on campus that are going to be awesome.
Paragraph from his column.
Okay.
Dupuy is a self-described enlightened doomsayer, a philosopher of apocalypse. He argues that humanity is on a suicidal course headed straight for catastrophe. Why? Because we don't respect the sacred things. We blow through limits, and in doing so, we produce constant calamities and catastrophes and unleash violence. The Rose Bowl game is one such sacred ritual that inspired togetherness. Its death takes us one step closer to the end of the world.
Oh, well, that's a take. Hey, Jim, come up with the hot take. Got it. Got it, boss.
Joe Matthews, San Francisco Chronicle.
There you go.
It worked.
Joe's a little out there, I'm guessing. I mean, look, it's a cool game. I watch it. I don't care who wins Utah, Penn State.
I didn't really care last night. Yesterday, I had a hard time turning it on.
I mean,
I turned it on for Neal's picks for like 5 minutes, and that was
Yeah.
it. And I think we all had Utah, so who gives a shit?
Everybody but Jeffrey.
Okay, so he got a game last night.
Yeah.
But, like,
I mean, whatever. If you're the Rose Bowl, wouldn't you rather next year have Georgia, Ohio State? I would.
well, of course.
I mean, give me the game that everybody's watching. I still get my
ESPN
panoramic.
wanted Georgia, Michigan in the final, right? Or do they want TCU? Do you want the underdog?
No,
in your
you wanted
ESPN?
Michigan.
Okay.
You wanted Michigan.
We'll tease this for tomorrow because
I'm sure ESPN's a little concerned that Georgia got a wake up call
and
that Georgia shows up.
I mean, that was one hell of a football game. The Georgia-Ohio State game was one hell of a football game.
I mean, for 3.5 quarters,
Ohio State handled them.
I thought they outcoached them and everything.
did.
And then whoever was up in the box
saw
the fake punt thing and went, Kirby, call timeout, call timeout, call timeout.
That was the game.
That won the game.
Yeah. Some dude gets raised that was up in the box and goes, whoa, whoa, whoa,
You'd
whoa,
hope.
whoa.
Because somebody saw it. Somebody watching.
That wasn't Kirby. Somebody radioed in and goes, nope, got a problem
Somebody
here.
who had watched so much film that
Their eyes were glazing over, but they saw that.
when they did sleep 2 hours a day, they dreamt about Ohio State's punt team. Saw something and went, oh my God, it's a fake.
Tease this for tomorrow. And it didn't really apply to, I mean, Ole Miss, their path is to recruit better, to get more high school kids, to use NIL effectively, and to put it in top 10 classes. But is TCU a path for people, or is this an anomaly in a way with some specific things that have happened to get him here at this point? And they're in a conference that allowed for it a little easier.
Yeah, I mean, I'll have to think about it. I mean, I don't.
They have very few 4- and 5-star players.
Look, he's a really good coach
He
who
is.
followed a really good coach
They've got a tough, good quarterback.
as nails. And look, do they benefit? Yeah, and here's the other thing. They played a lot of close games and won them all.
Yeah, it's been that season.
Now, there's two things there. Certainly, there's a degree of luck to that. And there's confidence, and you begin to play with an edge, and you believe in yourself.
It's not all luck if you win a bunch of close games.
No, but there is some luck.
Yes.
And so if the next season they roll,
you don't control your destiny in games. Other teams get chances to make great plays.
right.
Nobody made the great play against them. Michigan had the ball to go win.
Yeah.
And nobody had stopped anybody.
Nope.
Now you made a stop. So okay.
But yeah, do they benefit from playing in a little bit of a watered down Big 12 when Oklahoma was average at best?
Mm-hmm.
When Texas was just
and OSU was average.
Slightly above. OSU was down, frankly. Yeah. K-State was good, but K-State wasn't elite.
But they're a one-trick pony. Come on. I mean, Alabama disposed of them.
Yeah. Sure.
Yeah.
Iowa State was down. Texas Tech was average.
Chet actually makes a really good point there. TCU, if you look at them from an athletic program standpoint, yeah, it was like 2 decades ago that they were in a bad conference, just a mid-major that was good and had LaDainian Tomlinson. And what they've been able to do to just consistently elevate and elevate and elevate, really across all their sports. I mean, Jamie Dixon did a nice job in basketball there. The baseball team's incredibly competitive nationally, played for a national title. And now in football, they've done a really good job in the Metroplex.
Yeah, they're in a fertile area, and they've been able to recruit it.
Yeah.
Yeah, and no, there's a lot there. I mean, it's like most everything. It's not black or white. They were a fluke.
Mm-hmm.
But no, do they present a path that other people could follow? Now, here's the thing. There's only like one more year of this. And then we're
just 12.
Then we're going to 12. It's just make the tournament.
Win a game. Yeah.
Make the tournament.
Win a game, then win another game.
Make the tournament and see what happens.
Yeah.
And all of a sudden, that's where the programs can take leaps, is like a TCU when they get a home game, like as a 5 seed in a tournament. And you
win the game.
Yeah, and the whole country's watching, and people look at it and go, man, what a cool place, or whatever. I mean, you get that. I mean, that's the 2 fun weekends that we're going to get that we don't have now when you go to a 12-team playoff is the 4 on-site games with a 5, 6, 7.
The first rounds and the quarters.
And then the quarters where you go to the bowls. Instead of having 2 semifinals, now you basically have 4.
It was a good point made. NFL playoffs are great. They have 13 opportunities to be great.
Mm-hmm.
College football has 3.
Yeah.
Now they're going to have 11.
Yeah.
It's a big difference.
Huge
difference.
Not every wild card game's exciting.
No. There's blowouts.
Sometimes there's dogs.
But you get a lot of opportunities for us to remember those 2 or 3 great games.
Sure, because you get the Tennessee Buffalo game with the crazy ass finish.
Yeah.
You get stuff. And that's what you remember. You get the Buffalo Kansas City game last year. That was a divisional playoff game.
Yeah.
That, I mean, everybody talked about. That was a Final 8 game. That was a quarterfinal.
Yeah. National Championship game, January 9th. That's Monday. That is Georgia and TCU, obviously, there in Inglewood at SoFi Stadium, the Rams and Chargers home field. So that coming up in 6 days, inside a week from the final college game of the season. And then we didn't talk about it. We'll obviously talk about whatever happens in it tonight. Ole Miss is in Tuscaloosa, 8 o'clock start for that one on somewhere on the ESPN family of networks. Is it just Super Tuesday, ESPN?
I think it's ESPN.
Okay.
Is
it Super Tuesday this early in the year or not? Do they call that this yet?
You told me there'd be no math.
Okay, fair enough. Alabama, Ole Miss, if you'd like to bet on it, the Tide is a 12.5-point favorite over the Rebels tonight.
Ooh.
They're at Coleman Coliseum.
That's a lot of points.
It's a lot of points.
If you made me go one way or the other, I'd like
Ole Miss blows second-half lead against Tennessee and Oxford to open their season in the SEC, and then Alabama kind of won a rock fight and pulled away from the Bulldogs in Starkville. In their opener. They have Kentucky coming up next. Oates was worried about a look ahead a little bit tonight from a close game standpoint.
Yeah.
he's trying to challenge his group through the media a little bit today. So
He's a hell of a coach.
he's a really
They
good
are
coach.
super talented. Here's the thing about Alabama, and the reason I think they might be the best team in the league.
Ooh.
They're so good defensively. Now, they could have an injury or two. Like, you look around the league and some teams have gotten hurt. You know, like Kentucky's not been fully healthy. Arkansas's had 2 bad injuries.
Yeah. Taking them really out of the national landscape.
Yeah, they're not a national title team. They probably had a chance to be if Brazil and Smith both play. But I like Alabama a bunch. They're really, really good because they can defend almost the way Tennessee can, but they can score in a way that Tennessee can't yet.
Yeah. So anyway, Alabama Ole Miss tonight, 8:00. There again, it's on television. I'm not sure what's opening into that part of the doubleheader, but nonetheless, the Rebels and the Crimson Tide from Tuscaloosa. So we'll talk about that and more tomorrow. More college football, of course, and then whatever happens today as the day moves on, including an update on the injury that we spent a lot of the show with today. So hope all you had a good day. Hope you stayed safe in the middle of the storm. It's going to continue for a little while and then get out of here sometime in the mid-afternoon for people in the Oxford area. So we will talk to you tomorrow. Take care. Talk to you then.